Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dennis Saliba, Occult and Forteana. And in today's topic, we're going to be talking about mimics and doing our second entity analysis. It's been a long time since I've done an entity analysis, and based on the feedback of what everyone's given back to me, basically the 9/11 demon in the Aruman stream, I thought reached out to quite a few people for such a small channel and such a small show. And I find that that drew a lot of intrigue last time that I streamed that. Today, we're going to be talking about the mimic, because the mimic appears in a lot of TikTok, esoteric, supernatural, and paranormal videos in particular, and also across YouTube. But there's a lot more folklore behind the mimic than what you would think. And this is not only exclusive to the Native American Indians, I guess, or the First Nation peoples, as they call them nowadays. And you find that there's folklore also in Europe with regards to the mimic as well. Now, normally I don't like to do reactions. However, the first clip is from a Navajo, member of the Navajo, I won't say tribe, nation. Sean Clan Shadow Productions has quite a few videos on mimics, doppelgangers, entities, and definitely check out his channel as well. Definitely something worth checking out, and definitely something worth looking into for sure. Just let me find it. There he is. My apologies. I still don't feel 100% well. I did promise a stream today, so I stuck true by my guns as best as I could. I'm not 100% today. So Voices That Aren't Theirs, True Mimic Encounters by Sean Clan Shadow Productions, a member of the Navajo Nation. We're just going to listen to the first few minutes because I don't want to take all of his content, but do like, share, and subscribe to Sean Clan Shadow Productions. He has a lot of good stuff.
No, this is a being I know a lot of people have been talking about. Let's go ahead and speak on mimics.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Welcome back to another episode here at Sean Clan Shadow Productions. Yes. Now, before we go ahead and get any further, be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content here at Sean Clan Shadow Productions. Turn your notifications to all so you guys don't miss any content coming out of here at Sean Clan Shadow Productions. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode. Mimics. Beings that know how to replicate your vocal tones, that know how to even sometimes, I know like doppelgangers and mimics get confused a lot. They are different. Now, when it comes to, I've touched on this. I think some viewer submittal stories I've kind of touched on mimics before, but when it comes to mimics and the act of mimicking, it is just an act. It's a tactic that is used to be able to lure enemies out, send confusion and fear to whoever their prey is.
Yeah.
Now, mimicking itself is not a being. It's doppelgangers are more so of.
To add note to that, I would kind of equate that to a spiritual scout of some kind. It's like a spiritual scouting tactic. It might not even be a spirit either. It could be a witch. It could definitely be a witch. I will say that it's not always likely to be a witch, but it can potentially also be a witch. And a black magic practitioner could easily do this. This is a very lower level tactic and stratagem, mimicking.
Legitimate beings. Mimicking itself, though, the act of replicating people's voices and sometimes even their image of who they are is almost like shapeshifting. Shapeshifting and the act of mimicking and all these other different things they're all tools used in warfare, spiritual warfare. And yeah, there are some beings that are born more natural to learn how to use it, but that isn't the only thing they can do. There's a lot more to it. And whenever people kind of talk about mimics and stuff like that, and if that's all they can do, then they're kind of lower level. Because when you get up to the more so higher level spiritual beings, whenever you interact with them, they know how to mimic. They know.
That's right. Higher level entities, all entities really have assigned ranks, powers, jurisdictions. I refer to them as jurisdictions that only certain entities can operate, for example, within fires or within swamps or within oily plains or within caves. And other entities can only operate within forests or beaches. So different entities do have different ranks. I 100% agree with him.
Know how to shapeshift. They know how to do all these other different things. And that's what makes them powerful. That's what makes them strong. Is especially like I'm pretty sure people have seen those exorcist movies or where there's a demon, there's a possession and an exorcism, and then they start replicating the voices of so and so. And then they go ahead and shapeshift into a beloved one that passed away or something else like that, to where they try to cause confusion. And it is used as a version of spiritual warfare.
Yes.
And when it comes to mimics and mimicking, yeah, it's not that hard to be able to learn how to do that. Definitely.
And if you are a practicing witch, by the way, it's a very, very lower level procedure, ritual, power that you can learn by simply astral projecting a thought form and then imagining that you can transmute that thought form into mimicking someone else, because the astral body is genderless and not bound by space and time.
Like if it's used nowadays, yeah, it's either mainly just used to scare people, freak them out, and draw that fear, that chemical, that feel that chemical reaction inside of the human body to be able to get an effect and draw that scare.
So basically, it could be one of a couple of things that come to my mind when it comes to this tactic. One, it could be a loosh harvest. Loosh being your emotional energy, because the entity itself might not even be a cohesive entity. It might simply be a thought form manifesting as an entity, but it's not an entity. It's just like an incoherent energy body, a thought form. And because it needs energy to sustain itself, it would be like the spiritual equivalent of an addict of some kind needing the next bump. And then that fear, that adrenaline, is that energy bump for it. I guess you could say it's kind of like a spiritual cocaine for or like a spiritual coke addict, and it's seeking a spiritual cocaine.
Aired energy out. Now, whenever somebody would ask me, they're like, okay, well, how would you deal with somebody who's mimicking your voice, who's doing this, doing that? Say the most outlandish shit ever. Make sure no one's recording, but you could say the most craziest stuff ever and see if they return it back. That's always some of the things is like, once you take out the element of fear, whenever you're dealing with a lot of these beings, sometimes it can get fun. If they do like try to reciprocate whatever you say back to you, a lot of people say hello and then be like, hello, and try to mimic your voice. And then it takes a couple tries and then they fine tune their vocals to be able to match whatever you have. And
we will see actual clips of this, by the way. I don't always do these types of streams lightly because they do carry a heavy energy to them. But shout out to Sean Clan Shadow Productions. He knows what he's talking about. He's the real deal, and it's very good. Okay, let's look at our first clip. And this is Scary Encounters. We have a mum with what presumably is, that's her son on the right, what presumably is her other son on the other side, but her instinct says otherwise. Let's have a look. Let's watch.
Who is it? Me. Who's me? Your son. Aren't you at your friend's sleepover?
So that was a smart move. Controlled experiment. Very, very useful to use when dealing with these types of beings. When you do encounter such beings, I find it's always handy to say something similar to this, like, weren't you supposed to be here at 6 o'clock? Or weren't you supposed to be down in the park at 4 or something like that? And then that tells the entity on the other side that you do not have legal entry. The reason why that's important is you telling it that you do not have legal entry directly or indirectly or implied or explicit, made explicit, is you have legal protections in the spirit realm. Likewise, like in a court of law, the other side has legal protections and boundaries in the spirit realm, but you do as well in the living realm. And one of the rules that kind of goes unstated, in particular the vampire folklore comes to my mind, but it comes to this, and the black-eyed children, you have the right to your own domicile within your own house. And entities, as you notice, they might be physically stronger than you, they might be powerful, but they can't always open your door. They can't always open your door. Very often in a lot of these clips, you'll find that they can't open the bedroom door in particular, because that is your domicile of rest. And within the house, if you believe it or not, that's fine, don't care. Within your own domicile, your own house, there is a spirit of the building which protects that domicile. And ideally, the spirit of the house will ward off any entity outside of the perimeter of the house, but in particular outside of the perimeter of your bedroom. So this is why you notice that the entity can't automatically open the door on a whim, because it doesn't really have legal entry. And she was smart. She did a controlled variables test with the entity.
Where are you?
So again, another valid question. Obviously, she's a bit more afraid than Sean Clem was within his video, but obviously she's in protection mode, as you can see. But that's a very valid question. Who are you? Because very often these entities will hide behind different names, different faces, your loved ones, different vocal patterns. And sometimes these entities also mimic vocal patterns and, well, maybe not vocal patterns, but like sound patterns of inanimate objects. And it's one thing to really conceptualize it, but it's another thing to see it. And we're going to see another clip like that. Yeah, so as you see, the entity responds. It's saying, your son, let me in. That's the underlying intention. Let me in.
What do you want?
I want to play that again. I can't hear what he said, but it was very interesting that it hesitated. Being hesitated was like,
There's food in the microwave.
Now the entity is getting agitated because it doesn't have legal entry as much as it thought it would, and it's beginning to run out of energy. The energy for the entity now, the timer, the clock for it to stay in the physical world is actually starting to time out, and it needs to burn more energy to stay in this physical realm in that house.
Go to bed.
And again, that's why control tests are important, because the mum knows her son obviously better than anyone else. Obviously, the son knows the son, but the mum knows the son better than anyone else apart from the son, and she basically deduced what I told you. Her son would never act like that. It's too aggressive to be her son.
Go to bed.
No.
And there's the defiance there. Go to bed. No, go to bed. Okay, the next clip we're going to be watching is a video from Andy Winehouse. He hears his own voice calling to him, saying, "Come over." I've seen this clip before. I've seen this clip a few times before, but let's check it out. I had this clip in mind in particular because it illustrates many of the topics that I was talking about before, and the characteristics and the modus operandi of this being. So let's watch and let's listen.
Come here. Come here. Come here.
So it's mimicking his voice, and it's mimicking the person recording. As you can see in captioned here, heard my own voice calling me from the other room. What is this? Is it possible that it's a doppelganger? Can't rule that out. Is it likely that it's a doppelganger? Probably not. And we will see later why. Now, obviously, the intention here is a bit different from the case with the mum and the son. The entity or the thought form here is trying to lure him for some type of energy extraction. Instead of asking for entry, it's luring. This is a luring tactic.
Hey, come here. Come here. What I told you. Come here.
It's baiting him. Come here. Come here. I heard you.
Okay, I don't know what you're doing. You can literally hear that.
So obviously he's scared, understandably. So it's a pretty creepy clip, this one. I don't really get good energy from this at all. I get a lower level energy vibe from this being. But let's continue watching. And that's an intimidation tactic. It's saying,
No.
give me your energy. Give me your energy. Give me your energy. I need a fix. I need a fix.
What the fuck?
It's trying to scare him. Now that particular tactic, the tactic with the doorknob and the moving of the doorknob, is trying to make the entity appear more powerful than it really is. It is a fear tactic. It is also an energy harvesting tactic, because the entity knows that it cannot sustain its form in the physical realm for too long, because it needs lots of energy, and it's burning out more energy by doing this. It's actually increasing its own demise from this realm by doing this. I wouldn't have done that myself. I don't know if that is his cat in particular. That's a very interesting frame. It could be his cat. I'm not going to rule out that it's his cat. But to me, it looks a little translucent in this frame. And I don't think the cat would actually do that.
No.
That might be the entity itself, actually.
Okay, for anybody asking, this is my family home. I grew up here.
So here he's obviously very scared, and he's given the entity a lot of his energy, and he's kind of even admitted it here. He's been in shambles all day, and this will give the entity a lot more power to work with now.
And we've never had a single experience like this.
But interesting to note, the house does not have a history of haunting, meaning that it could be a pocket of entropy, what I call a pocket of entropy, which is basically a fold in a ley line or a fold in the electromagnetic grid around the Earth. And pockets of space-time do fold into the electromagnetic energy grid of the Earth from time to time. And this is what causes random entities to appear in dimensions that they shouldn't appear in. It's a natural phenomenon, but it's also occultists will know about this as well. It's half and half. There's no book on how to discern that. You have to discern that on your own.
I don't know what is going on. I'm getting a lot of comments saying I'm doing it for views, and I'm doing it for likes. And I promise you I am not.
I personally believe him because I can hear the trembling in his voice, but maybe I'm being naive.
Don't like the video, don't comment if you don't want to. I just need somebody who knows what this is. Please reach out. I don't care if it's in a comment or privately, just please reach out.
I've commented on the original video a couple of years ago.
And please just help me.
Okay, you're dealing with a mimic, and you have one of a few options. Your first option is to disengage. Disengage. Don't interact with it. Walk away. Let it burn out its own energy. Second point of call, if it escalates, you can call a spiritual leader to burn sage and to get protection prayers on you and protection prayers on your parents, if you're living with your parents, siblings, anyone living within the domicile of the house, and pets. I would include pets in that.
I don't know what to tell my wife when she gets home. I can't afford a hotel for the night. We're doing a remodel in the bathroom.
The third thing you could also do would be to toy around with the mimic, make it waste its own energy, and do what Sean Clem, Shadow Productions, said in his video. Make it say funny things like, I am a bag of popcorn, and I love to be buttered all over. And can you butter popcorn for me? And then you can redirect it into, for example, the microwave away from you. And then you're giving it legal allowance, legal room to divert itself away from you. It's another sneaky tactic that you can use for these types of beings.
And everything's just going to shit right now.
Yeah, someone or something is obviously messing with you, man. But the next clip is a bit creepier, and it's not creepy in the sense that it's scary for human-to-human contact, but it's creepy in the sense that you can see more of what this entity can do. Now, mimics can impersonate inanimate objects as well. And this is something we will look at in the next clip. Mimic caught on camera, learning to mimic my ringtone, and funnily enough, it does it within 3 tries. Let's have a watch.
A mimic caught on camera. This guy hears his phone ringing, but his phone is in his pocket. First time, the sound is wrong, distorted, almost broken. The second time, it's closer, clearer.
That's it. Whoa, I saw a shadow there. Hold on.
A mimic caught on camera. This guy hears his phone ringing, but his phone is in his pocket.
First
time, the sound is wrong, distorted, almost broken.
Second time.
The second.
I see you. He's right there. It's right there. It was that little black splotch line for like a less than a second. It's standing right there.
Time. It's closer.
And there it is. You see it move, that little shadow there. That's it. It moved.
Clearer. By the third ring, it's almost perfect. And then the fourth time, the ringtone plays exactly right. Same tone, same timing. No mistakes.
Pretty interesting, that particular clip. I'm inclined to believe that myself, but you notice that it takes a few times to study you before it actually copies you. All right, let's continue on to our next clip. This one's a bit more Abrahamic in its analysis. This is when it mimics the wife's voice. There was another really cool clip that I want to find where the wife is in the room with the husband, and then he goes upstairs and you see the wife in a separate room, but it's not the wife. Very interesting clip, that one. I want to try and find that if I can.
Okay, so this guy was woken up at 3 a.m.
And no, it is not a skinwalker. So many people confuse mimics for skinwalkers. Mimics usually tend not to leave physical evidence behind. They leave sound behind. They might knock on a door or do the door thing or call out your name, but they won't leave crushed bone powder residue behind. Skinwalkers, usually they enter from the top of the roof and they leave residue of crushed up bones from corpses of animals or people, and they usually use that for their poison powder and also their rituals as well.
By his girlfriend that came over and started slamming the doors and calling for him. Immediately he...
Oh, and also the MO of a skinwalker, it's usually either an intimidation, monitoring, or an assassination entity. So usually with specific targets, a skinwalker will hunt to kill for the sake of the hunt. Like a Yautja, like the Predator from the Predator series. Mimics don't usually do that.
He knew that it was not his girlfriend and it was something more sinister. People think it's a skinwalker, but it is actually a mimic. Listen closely.
Good.
Hey, come downstairs.
So again, we have our classic mimic luring you away from where you're at.
There's no way Emma decided.
Hey, come downstairs.
At 3 in the morning.
And that's another baiting tactic, opening a door outside of the bedroom door and closing it again to lure the person to come there. There it is.
Come down here. Hey. So a mimic is an evil entity that is known to copy your voice or someone else's that you know. They do this.
Yes and no. I would say it's malicious, but they can also be thought forms. They can also be lower level spells from witches or warlocks, not necessarily an entity themselves. They could be a witch or a warlock themselves, but they're not always 100% an entity. No.
Is to trick you, confuse you, and then you let your
But I would say that that is the MO. That's correct.
guard down, and they can,
They don't kill you, or they shouldn't. They usually just harvest your energy and drain you.
A lot of people actually have stories of them hearing their own voice talking to them, and that is a mimic. More on this coming soon.
Yeah, good. Okay, but she's got the MO correct. Let's see. This guy, he opens the door because he's a bit dumb. I don't want to deal with that. He opens the door. That's it. I won't include that one. Let me find the wife doppelganger one. Wife doppelganger caught on camera. Let's see if this one comes up. Oh, wow. Now, I haven't seen that one, but that's pretty creepy. Wow. Let's see. Whoa. Whoa. Wow. Oh, that first clip is cool. Sorry, guys. I know. Dead air, dead air, dead air. I want to show you what I mean by the witches. This just popped up in my feed. It's not the clip I was searching for, but this did pop up on my feed. This might be video editing. Bear that in mind. I always keep that in mind. But this is pretty interesting. Let's have a look at this.
Realize how many strange.
That was interesting. Look at that.
Most people never realize how many strange things happen around them every
Hospital? I would believe that. In a hospital. It's probably the spirit of death, I think.
second, and by the time someone notices, it's already gone.
That loud one's kind of fake. But yeah, this is what I mean about the witches, that they can
Most people never realize how
do
many
things like that. That's pretty crazy. Anyway, it's pretty interesting to note. So bear that in mind. Not all mimics might be entities. Most of the time they will be. But there's that 30% chance that they're a witch, a warlock, a sorceress, a sorcerer, or something else. And it's not always wise to confront it if it's that 30%. Okay, entities that mimic people, living and dead. This is in Reddit. My family and I had an experience with an entity that mimicked our voices, calling out to us individually using another's voice when they either were not home or were in a different room from which the voice was heard. And they swore they did not call out in the appearance of one of my cousins in the past. I've also seen Reddit posts about them throughout the time I've been here. However, I can't seem to find any information about them. Does anyone know of references to them in literature or your culture? We'll have a look at that a bit later on so you can get the full context. I'm really interested in learning about them because they seem to be a common type of entity people encounter and tend to be malevolent or at least extremely annoying from what I've seen. I notice many similarities across the stories, and it makes me think that they're a group of entities. Yes and no. Again, a lot of them are probably thought forms, but a lot of them could also be lower level entities. If that's the case, it would be crucial to have information about what they are, how to recognize them, and how to get rid of them. Watch my stream, bro. I've done an entire stream on it. If you don't want to watch my stream, watch Sean Clan Shadow Productions. He can help you with that. They are mimics. There's a Witch's Guide to the Paranormal by J. Alan Cross. I'm going to have to save that. They're in the inhuman category, yeah. Yes, they are. But yeah, basically they're bottom feeders. They don't have the direct power to, unlike a demon, they do not have power to directly possess or attack. They feed off fear, confusion, depression, and anxiety. I'm going to include anxiety in that list. They either fade away from starvation of energy they need, or go into the light and pass off into the afterlife, or grow darker and stronger until they evolve into lower form demons. There are rituals that could do that, actually. There are rituals to transmute them into lower level entities. Not going to get into them, though. The best way to be rid of them is invoking the law of dominion and domicile. The law of domicile is a part of the law of dominion, by the way. Darker ones will flee, while more neutral or positive ones will go to the light. The spirit of the house should also ward them off. And if the spirit of the house is not warding them off, then something like rosewood sage, or rosewood, or cedar, like a burnt cedar, and salt can work as well. Or I find sometimes, if you're into crystal work, maybe an ebony crystal could ward them off. Darker ones will flee. What is it? The law of dominion is the law put forth by the prime source creator, God the Father, to protect humanity from dark and evil entities. What does it do? This law prevents creatures and beings like demons, vampires, black-eyed children, which are sort of a subvariant of vampire, skinwalkers, and any evil entity from entering a home or enclosed private space without permission. Key word: without permission. Key phrase, very important. Most evil entities will beg or demand entry, or try and trick people with sounds and voices to go out into deep woods and darkness alone. So you are lured into their domicile, or they try to get you to invite them into your domiciles. That's how it works. What about animals, or the truly innocent young children who don't know any better? The law of dominion protects young children even more. All evil entities are required to show their true face when trying to seduce, mentally, spiritually seduce, not that other seduction, mentally, spiritually seduce, I mean, young children as an added precaution, because children are a pure source of light. So that pure source of light is going to be protected at a higher degree. Likewise, animals have their own abilities. Animals like cats and dogs in particular can see through the actual faces of these entities. I have a working theory that they do, as unscientific as my claim is. I have a working theory that animals and dogs can see further into the light spectrum, therefore they can see the true faces of these entities. And very often you'll notice that cats in particular, they're like radars for supernatural entities. They can pick them up on a whim, like this. They are very, very perceptive. Because most children were not allowed to come to them or go near such things. Well, they're a child. They're the source of light. And actually, the punishment for doing that to a child in the supernatural realm is much harsher than doing that to an adult, by the way. This is why young children have more night terrors or insist on monsters in public or things under the bed or closets in earlier years of development, usually up to 10 years of age, or for in my case, it was up to 10 years of age, or actually up to 12 years of age. But in other children's cases, usually up to 8. A law can be invoked at any time to protect oneself or an area. This guy does know what he's talking about, and works immediately in any dark entities or any connection to light and holiness. Would be invoking the blood of Jesus, singing Muslim songs to Allah, singing Jai Ma Kali if you're Hindu, or singing songs to like prayers of purification to entities like Mahakala from Buddhism. That seem to work no matter the person's belief or background or convictions. The prime source of creator is the source of all life and love in the universe, is the basis of all religions, because humans' concept of the divine is limited to a human brain. The prime source creator can work through any religion you prefer. It can also work through any human being you prefer. as long as not light, as long as love is the core and intent. That's another rule as well, the law of zero. To invoke the prime source creator, you have to invoke the law of zero, which is neutrality, but that neutrality ultimately is what he just mentioned here. Love as the core and intent, or healing as the core and intent. I am a prime source creator into myself to heal, to guide, to protect, to reveal, to communicate, to manifest. In the best way possible for my current spiritual growth and well-being. I don't really work with spirit guides myself unless they're directly tied to my lineage. I don't really like to work with them unless I really have to. I try to avoid that. Oh my God, I try to avoid that. Ancestor spirits are good, they can work. Angels are good, they can work. These guys, they're usually a last point of call. That's a good phrase. Where I dwell is holy ground. Everywhere I look and walk is holy ground. That's a very good ritual phrase. All my friends and family and pets and everyone I see is also protected. Very important. Because dark entities will try to use loved ones, friends, acquaintances even, as leverage and scare them. I've had a situation like this. I had a situation where there was a girl being haunted by two entities, and they used to haunt me in my foster mother's house when my mum and dad separated. And they stopped harassing me because I was reading like a prayer book, and I was reading about all this type of stuff and how to deal with them. So they couldn't get to me, and I just told them to kept telling those entities to fuck off. And they started, they went all the way to Sydney. And I remember this girl, her name was Julie. And Julie had photos of these two little entities. This is the days of like MSN. MSN was a thing back then. And they were haunting her for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I told her just to say a certain prayer, get your Bible to face the edge of the door from the edge of your bed to invoke that boundary. And it worked. But the point is that they were using her to scare her to get to me, because I was the original target. They can do that. So that's why that all my friends and family and pets and everyone I see is also protected is very important. It's a very important phrase. All beings of true darkness disconnected from prime source creator must flee or fall low and return to the love and light of the prime source creator. That's a good phrase too, because that means that they get banished. They don't get told to flee and leave, and then they go back to their dark caves and forests. They leave you. Okay, let's see. Demons, they're not always demons. They're too weak. Demons are stronger than that. Demons are stronger. Okay, couple more sources, and then we'll finish up. I'm going to save that book, by the way, in Esoteric and Occult Division. Book of Witchcraft. Saving that book in my Discord there. Okay, what exactly are mimics? Yes, they mimic sounds. We've seen that. They also mimic inanimate objects as well. They do spook people. They are interesting and confusing. They're meant to be confusing. I don't think it would be fun to be a mimic. No, you're stuck between the astral world, the physical world, and you don't have a map. It would not be fun to be a mimic. I've seen a vision of what it's like to be a mimic on the other side from the mimic's perspective. They are stuck between the darkness and the void, the astral realm, the physical realm, the dream realm, and there's no cohesion in those levels. So like in one moment they could be in the physical realm, the next moment they could be in Sheol, or I won't say Sheol because that's for the unjudged souls and the undead souls. That's for later. They are stuck in the void one moment, and then they're in the physical the next, and then they're in the astral the next, and then they have to compete. By the way, if you think you are a badass because you're an entity alone in the astral realm, you're wrong, because you have to compete against millions or trillions and trillions and trillions of other entities and forms of creation. Imagine that you're a mimic and you don't even have a cohesive body, and you have to compete against a van-sized astral spider, a 6-foot long astral centipede, hornets with human heads attached to them, and long female-like hair, like described in the Book of Revelations. What other entities do you have to do with? The lower level ranking demons, which rule you because they're much more powerful than you. And you're like, as a mimic, you're like the equivalent of the scrawny kid that gets bullied at school. And the lower level demons are like the 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, bigger children that can just pick on you because you're just tiny. You're a mimic. No one cares about you. They have higher ranking than you. It wouldn't be fun to be a mimic. No, I don't believe it. Not a good being, yes. Multidimensional, I don't agree with that. I think certain people can perceive certain things we cannot perceive as well as a cat or dog or other animals, but that's a very interesting theory, though. I do like that work. That's a very interesting theory. I'm going to post that theory. Because we are limited to a human 3D consciousness within a 3D brain, there's beings that shapeshift and stare at us in the same way that we stare at them, like looking in a mirror, a looking glass. They could easily be looking at us like, what are they? And we just happen to perceive each other at that moment, which is a point of time where there is a pocket of entropy, whereby space and time bends onto itself, but also electromagnetic energy from the electromagnetic energy grid bends onto itself. I would highly believe that. But anything pretends to be something they're not is definitely something to interact with. I wouldn't interact with them. Don't interact with a mimic, for God's sake. That's not a good idea. It's a very interesting theory, though. The way we look at them could be them looking at us. And we happen to perceive each other at that point in time. Whoa. Creepy. I saw that. That was like a figure in the background. That was creepy. Crazy. That was interesting. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit spooked now. That was crazy. It was like a thing in the background. I'm gonna close the door. Give me a sec. I'm gonna close the door. Dad, are you downstairs? I saw a figure in the background. Oh, was you? Okay. You spooked me. That's okay. False alarm. Yeah, you kind of spooked me because I'm talking about a particular spooky topic. False alarm. False alarm. That was my dad. But again, you can never be too sure. Always got to check. All right, sorry about that, guys. That wasn't very professional of me to have that on stream, but that was my dad. Yeah, Sometimes my dad, he moves like a ghost, man. I swear, sometimes. What is the mimic exactly? Supernatural, usually not visible type of entity, ostensibly under the guise of luring you to your death. I don't think only your death, though. I think most of the time they just want your energy, usually in the Appalachian Mountains. The modern mimic seems to have been shaped by several things coming together. There are doppelgangers, that's a separate entity. I will trust Sean Clen Shadow Productions on that, which the original German concept are really more of a bad omen. They're not haunting you or hunting you. There are Navajo skinwalkers. There's also skinwalkers in Australia too, believe it or not. There's also skinwalkers in Mexico and skinwalkers even in Germany, from what I've been researching and reading. So skinwalkers are not exclusive to Navajo lands, although that's what they are famous for. It's a hybrid creature. Pliny the Elder, in his natural history work between 77 to 79 CE, as a hybrid creature that mimics the voice of men and cattle. Another ancient Greek author wrote of a creature that imitates the human voice, calls men by name at night, and devours those who approach. Interesting. Interesting. No, it's not a Wendigo. Wow. The South Korean Junction tiger. Changelings. European cultures and the Ecuadorian La Tunda. Describe similar characteristics. That's interesting to note. Not much there. I'll just skip through that. Not much there, but that's interesting to note. All right. Let's continue on. Last. Now, this is, unfortunately, this is Google AI. I couldn't find much more on the topic. It's very hard to find information on this topic. But I'm going to scroll down. Further down. The history of mimics in folklore and legend. So paranormal mimic is modern. The fear behind it, ancient stories, doubles, false appearances, spirit copies. Be careful, because those do exist. There are witchcraft spells where you can copy yourself in the astral realm, project yourself to someone else, and monitor them. It's not only a entity, it's also a witchcraft, sorceress, witchcraft, sorcerer / monitoring military spiritual military tactic, for the lack of a better word, for spiritual warfare purposes. So be cautious. And mysterious presences that imitate living people found in folklore from many countries. These older traditions may not use the word mimic, but they reflect the same deep anxiety. Let's go further down. We have the doppelganger, fetches, and Wardugas. Okay, so this is over to Germany. The modern mimic is the doppelganger, a term associated with German folklore and literature. A doppelganger is usually described as a double or apparition of a living person. Traditionally, seeing one's own double or encountering the duplicate of someone else is an ominous sign, often linked to death, misfortune, or spiritual disturbance. Correct? I've had an experience like this. The idea of what's known as a fetch in Irish and British tradition. A fetch is a supernatural double, appearing as a sign of, again, impending death or crisis. It's not merely a visual copy, it is meaningful. It's more akin to an omen. like a forecast, a spiritual forecast, or even a negative spiritual forecast, an omen. It signals that something is wrong, reality is shifted, or that a boundary between worlds has become thin. And then we have the Norwegian concept of vardoga. Pardon my pronunciation, I'm not well today. I don't speak Dutch or Norwegian, so I don't pronounce these words correctly. They're probably not right. Vardoga, which may be even closer to what people now call a mimic. Vardoga is often described as a sort of advanced presence. People may hear footsteps, voices, or other familiar signs of a person arriving before that person actually appears. This is especially relevant to modern mimic stories, where the most common reported experience is not a full visual apparition, but a familiar sound in the wrong moment. That's pretty interesting. That also suggests that multidimensionality is real, and that psychic forward projections could be real because multidimensionality is real. Therefore, timelines and timeline shifting is real. That's pretty interesting. I've had an experience like that. I've had an experience where my dad or my mum called me, but my sister used to live in this house like years ago. And I'd had an experience where I heard her voice call me upstairs, but she was downstairs because we just briefly interacted before. And then I went upstairs and no one was there. It's a very odd experience. Stuff that we've all talked about. Now, I don't want to read all of this, but there you go. There is a historical precedence for it as well. I'm wondering what La Tunda is from Ecuador. That's quite curious. La Tunda, Ecuador. Let's have a look. The story of La Tunda. And the Pacific. Interesting. Let's have a look. La Tunda is a prominent, malevolent shapeshifter in Afro-Ecuadorian, Colombian, Pacific folklore. Described as an elderly woman with a wooden molinillo or a utensil leg, she lures people into the jungle using familiar voices, feeds them with shrimp to induce a trance, and feeds on them. She eats them. Wow. She's often sighted in mangrove swamps and dense forests. She often appears as a loved one, like a mother or a spouse, but her transformation is flawed, particularly with the one leg being a wooden spoon or a stick. Interestingly, there's something similar to this in Hungary. This is sort of reminds me of a little bit of the Baba Yaga story, because there is a Baba Yaga story of Hungary as well. Another thing is it also sort of reminds me of the Islamic jinn stories, where you see a human apparition, but if you look at the legs, they're either hooved or the leg bends are inverted like a horse, and it's obviously not human. And hundamiento, victims are lured into a trance-like state known as entundamiento, where they are held docile by the tunda through the enchanted food. This myth serves to caution to children and as an explanation for unexplained disappearances in the jungle. Very, very similar parallel to the Quran with regards to the jinn. That's a very interesting parallel. Nonetheless, guys, what do you think of the mimic? Is there something that I haven't covered? Is there something that I'm missing? please let me know. In the future, I'll try to find that doppelganger wife video, because that was pretty interesting, that one. And yeah, let me know your thoughts, your stories. Have you had any encounters yourself? Would you like to post them in the comment section down below? Or perhaps email them to me so I can read your stories on manusmedia101@gmail.com, because the world is indeed strange, but the human spirit is not defeated, even in the face of paranormal entities. But if you do have strange stories, please let me know in manusmedia101@gmail.com. Humanis Invictus, the human spirit remains unconquered.